What's up, guys? It is Carly here, bringing you day number 6 of my 31 days of horror, and today I'm going to be talking about a movie that I got in Horror Pack a few months ago. It's funny, I canceled Horror Pack a while back, and I still just have stuff piled up that I got from them. One of the reasons why I canceled, because I just couldn't keep up with the movies I was getting from them. But anyway, that movie is Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. What year is this from? It looks like it is from 2012. So yeah, Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. This movie follows a brother and a sister named Hansel and Gretel who become suspicious whenever Gretel's boyfriend, who is a stoner, disappears after he goes in search of more weed at this woman's house. So the two track down this old lady's home, and she seems like an innocent old lady, but it turns out she's actually a witch, and she comes up with a very special type of blend of marijuana that's becoming very popular, and she's using this to basically lure these potheads into her home so that she can kill them and eat them and just take their youth from them so that she can become younger. So that's what's going on in this movie, and of course Hansel and Gretel are trying to take her down and stop this, while all the while trying to save themselves. So yeah, when I first got this movie, it really didn't appeal to me when I got it in the horror pack, just because it seemed very much like something I wouldn't like. It seemed like a low-budget film, and just another typical stoner type of flick, and I'm really not that into stoner movies. I do like the Harold and Kumar movies, but that's about it. When it comes to horror movies or horror comedies, I find that I just find them to be very annoying, because I don't know if it's because I'm not really much of a stoner myself, or if it's just a disconnect with the comedy, but I'm not really into it. And the star of this movie kind of made me feel like I was getting into a film that I really wasn't going to like, because you start off with the boyfriend and them all kind of getting high, and then there's like some song about getting high playing, so I kind of rolled my eyes at first and thought like, oh god, I'm really not going to like this movie too much. And I gotta say, that quickly turned around. What follows soon after the pretty brutal parts that I will say, don't get me wrong, this is a horror comedy. There are some comedic moments, and they do work. I do find them to be pretty humorous, but I was actually kind of surprised by this one scene in particular. Pretty dark in it, and I wasn't really expecting that. I thought this movie was just going to be straight goofy, and that was going to be it, but I think they did a pretty solid job with surprising you with this one scene in particular, so I give it props for that. The quality of the film, I will say, it is more of a low-budget type of movie, and if you don't really like that sort of cheap-looking filming style, you might not care for this, but for me, it didn't really bother me. In some of these low-budget films, it really does, but for this one, it didn't bother me, and the acting in it is pretty good. The people in this movie, they actually look pretty familiar, the people who play Hansel and Gretel in particular, but I'm not really sure where I've seen them before, but I know other stuff, so they're not total nobodies. And you also have like Lachlan Monroe's name playing a cop in this movie, and I just find that funny because that's literally the only character he ever plays. So I found that to be pretty funny, and this movie does also have some parts where it's kind of making a joke on how cops are so obsessed with catching minor marijuana offenses as opposed to kidnappings and murders and serious situations like that. So there is kind of little stabs at that I found to be pretty humorous and accurate. So I did like that about it too. Overall, this movie was pretty solid. The story was decent as well. Just like this sort of a play on the actual Hansel and Gretel story, but it involves marijuana. Hansel and Gretel get baked. That's literally, that can mean two different things there, and I think they did a pretty good job with their version of this story. So, pretty surprised by this movie. What would I give it? I would probably say it's around a 7%. It's more of a low-budget film, and it's not overly serious, but it does have its dark moments, and it is pretty entertaining. So 7.5 out of 10 for this movie. Thank you guys for joining me for day number 6 of my 31 Days of Horror, and I will see you tomorrow with day number 7.